Well, can you tell us who was all on this call before
I can absolutely tell you who's on this call. So today you're going to have members from SGH's New York office. We will have Filippo, who is a structural engineer, and then we'll have, I think, Dr. Bondi, who is a building envelope engineer. Is that right, Filippo?
That's right.
And then we will have yourself, who's the architect. Then we have Dustin, who's an estimator. We have Daniel, who's a superintendent, and we have Marcus, who's the superintendent.
Okay, great. I just was making sure because I was just going to tell you that I did get off the phone with the structural engineer that we've been working with, or a mechanical engineer. So we're getting proposals today from WNA. They're out of New York and PA, and then Altieri Seaboard Weaver sending a proposal today. So
Very
it's
nice.
all sums who you met, right?
MEPs. Very nice.
So you'll have 3 for comparison there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I think we're just waiting for one more.
Okay.
And then the purpose of today's meeting is just to make sure we're all on the same page with the approach here. I tried sending over a brief draft. Basically, I packaged together the package qualifications from SGH, which gave inspiration of the direction I wanted to take it. So that allowed me to create my sort of cover face, where I introduce the team. I give a list of projects that may be relevant for them to, kind of scan through for us. I highlighted I didn't have much room for your description, but I highlighted 2 or 3 big projects that I thought stood out to me that I think will stood out to them. I just attached all of SGH's qualifications. And I am going to include another page where I think we've discussed all of this either individually or as a group or smaller groups. But basically, this is obviously something that needs to go through pre-construction. Engineers need to do their probing. There needs to be some exploratory demolition. Architect needs to draft the construction set. That all is encompassed in something called pre-construction. So for us to try to put together a concrete set of numbers without doing pre-construction goes contrary to how we were trained in the industry and the way that the industry goes and the way that this whole thing should actually get put together professionally. However, I understand that a client still wants to understand the beast that they're entertaining. And so we have to put something together. So I'm going to put that thing together. The first 3 or 4 pages should answer their questions right off the bat. If they want to go into further detail of what the nitty gritty is going to look like, I also will include that and provide that. And that's really what I'm trying to hit home with this 150-page proposal is exactly that. Look, we're coming in with a really solid team. I'm selling the team. Really what matters at this level, at this premature level, talking about this project is who is going to be working on the project, how communicative is the team going to be with me, especially me being overseas, and can I feel like I can run this project from Taiwan without breaking my head and pulling my hairs out? And I think if I can answer those questions and I tell them I'm going to give you the white glove service, then the numbers matter, but they matter less when that is at the forefront of the proposal. So I'm taking this proposal completely different than most other proposals that I do, which usually it's just about the numbers. This case I really do think is, can you help me run this important project from Taiwan? And am I going to have a team that's going to be knowledgeable, experienced, and accessible? And I think the answer is yes to all that.
Yes, very nice. That's. I think that'll hit home with them.
Filippo, do you know if Scott's going to be?
Yeah, I just texted him yesterday before leaving. We said he would attend. I just texted him.
Okay.
So he hasn't responded yet. While we're waiting for him, wanted to ask. So I was going through the package that you sent us, the whatever, like 116 pages, and just to rephrase, because that's exactly the same approach that we're going to do, Alberto. Like we can provide a number, like we're going to have an approach and everything, and then it's right now we can provide a number for, we're going to split it into investigation phase, design phase, and construction administration phase. So for the investigation phase, we can provide a number saying we're going to do X, Y, and Z, X many days the field, all that stuff. And then, so that would be a number. But then for the design phase, basically at the completion of each phase, we'll have to reassess and basically estimate what it would take. Now, I think that's your approach too. Like right now for you, it's difficult to put numbers. So like what, here is Scott. So like, how are you gonna, is there a page specific in your submittal, like in your package where you're gonna say all that, like your numbers, like say for the investigation phase, your number is X. For the design phase, your number is between Y and Z. And then the construction administration phase, you know, even wider range. Is that what you're gonna do? Okay.
So beautiful. I love that you asked that, because what I'm doing is I'm waiting for both your proposal and Brad's proposal, which will give me inspiration on how I plan to restructure the way the client is thinking about phasing this. We just talked about this in a smaller group before this call, you know, just so we're all on the same page about the client, the way the client is visualizing breaking this project into 4 phases goes contrary to the construction process. And there's conflict. You're elevating costs when you're trying to separate, for example, the elevator process, the elevator, installation or repair, or for example, mechanicals, not having the demolition or having the mechanicals being addressed before demolition goes completely contrary, and you're elevating costs. Marcus pointed that out right off the bat. So I think what we need to do gently on my side is, in our proposal, we're going to suggest a better breakdown of this project if they're looking to break this down into appropriate phases that we think align with the succeeding phases of this project. And the way I'm going to do that is based off of how you envision this as well, in terms of investigation, et cetera, as well as Brad's. So I'm basically going to take your guys' proposal, the way you guys are visualizing this, which is why I wanted to have this call as well, to make sure both engineering and architectural were on the same page of breaking this down, so that when I propose pre-construction, we can go into this all, and as a unit.
Yeah. So Brad, I mean, I think basically, so yeah, I think it appears that we're all on the same page with respect to the 3 phases. One is pre-construction / we call it investigation, but that you call it pre-construction, but prior to designing anything, figure out what's there, what the issues are. That's the investigation phase. And that's the phase where right now we know with better certainty what the scope is going to be. Then after that phase, there is going to be design of the repairs. It's going to be Brad is going to lead the architectural components. We're going to lead the structural components. There's going to be drawings to be filed. And the MEP consultant will lead the MEP component. But that would be, a range with respect to fee. And then the last one is construction administration, where after everything is designed, filed, and accepted, you start doing it, and it's an even wider range. So if we're all in agreement with this, then I think, Alberto, when we're going to send you our proposal later on today, then there's language exactly like this. And I think you can, if we're all in agreement, then you can kind of craft your, front end portion of the proposal.
Okay, great. Brad, what are your thoughts to that?
Yeah, I'm most curious about what you're going to be putting together in terms of the architectural team and how it's going to relate to what's in there for SGH. I think SGH has a much longer history of projects, so I agree it makes sense to have them up front. I just want to make sure it's not lacking in the architectural team
I see.
bio description. They may, we may be competing against someone else that's a more well-known architect or something, and they're going to potentially gravitate towards that unless, if we don't have a comparable architectural section in the...
Actually, I did want to talk to you about that because
Or are we somehow
Because it did feel at least when I was drafting it a little imbalanced. So SGH definitely occupies a good amount in terms of being part of the bid package. I was going to ask you if there's something you could put together. I can still put the visuals together, whatnot, whatever. But if there is more to add from your part, beyond the short little descriptor I had for you, I'm more than happy to include that. So at least it's a little bit more balanced with architectural engineering. However, talking to Marcus and Dan, it read very smoothly, and it sometimes is okay that there's not too much emphasis on. I mean, first of all, I think I highlighted pretty key points that makes the team as a whole, and that's why I want to gauge everyone's thoughts when you guys kind of first go through the first few pages of this. And Scott, I said this a little bit before you joined, but I do plan on adding another page in the first few pages, which is I want, when I submit 150 pages to these folks, that at least all their questions on a high level is answered in the first three. A, who am I hiring? 2, how much is this going to cost? How long is this going to take? And I think that the how much it's going to cost matters less than the team I'm hiring that's going to make me feel like I can run this project from Taiwan and make it feel like a white glove service and make it feel like I don't have to pull my hairs out and fly out to the United States all the time to handle problems. Even though this is an owner's rep, owners reps would really appreciate it if their job as an owner's rep is made nice. And
that
so,
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I think if I can answer those questions at a high level in the first 3 pages, this is the team. I have an ENR 100 engineering firm. I have Scott Bondi. I have Filippo Masetti, structural engineer, building envelope. I have Brad Groff. I think the schools and the credentials, I added all that in there. It's pretty robust as a profile, as a team profile, I think. You don't want to add too much either. That's why I limited it to 1 page, but curious what you guys thought about that.
I think it's great, honestly. I just wanted to resend you my project images, and also I think in particular the Sarah Delano Roosevelt house that I did when I was at or it was at Polshek Eniad, because I think we worked with SGH and it's right up the street and it's a comparable scale in the same neighborhood with comparable like water damage issues at the beginning. So
And I was going to say, Brad, I think, normally the approach we take on the enclosure side is it's not us and you have an architect. We're kind of an integrated team on the enclosure side with you bridging 2 structures, because, we're there. We are your, technical backup, and yes, we help with production as well, but on the enclosure side, it still brings the architecture back into it so that the owner can feel like, in case they change their mind or in case there are decisions of things that have to be changed as they move forward, that they're getting that aspect of it as part of the project.
Yeah, and to that point, I think the second page, instead of saying administration team and introduction, that doesn't really make any sense. I don't think the word administration is necessarily right. And I think before the team introduction, even there should be 1 page that big bullet points says what are the 5 things we're doing on this project. Facade remediation, enclosures is one of the major points, and you can, when you get to the SGH section, there's a major enclosures portion and structures and all that. But I think at the beginning, before introducing the team even, or you say, here are the 5 things that are doing this project. Water damage remediation, facade enclosure remediation.
So like the second page should almost be like focus on the project and how we plan on breaking it down. Almost the approach first.
Components of the project. I don't know if you guys all agree.
I think I can let me pull it up, but I think you are kind of talking about the same thing. It's a project team page, And Scott, I'm thinking one of those that we put together, like when we are prime, we put together like in proposals.
Tree.
Let me dig one up, and I'll try to show it to you to see if that is what you're looking for.